Hello and welcome to the Voice of Iron. And in this session, I'll be reading and ranting about the Wolverine medium Battlemech. First, I'll be going over the canon information from SARNA, and then I'll be giving my personal thoughts and experiences with this mech. Description: the Wolverine was developed as a fast strike battlemech, one which could take part in missions requiring speed and firepower, but too hazardous for lighter recon mechs. Although meeting all the requirements for just such a mandate, the Wolverine has since become known for its versatility, and is considered a jack-of-all-trades throughout the Inner Sphere. With the same electronics package as the Phoenix Hawk and mobility that allows it to keep up with most medium mechs, the Wolverine is often used for command purposes when working with medium units, in spite of the terrible visibility and cramped cockpit due to the placement of the head-mounted weaponry. During the Age of War, the early history of the Wolverine was born as a direct result of the Federated Sun's need for a front-line unit that could keep up with a forward advance and outmaneuver enemy battlemechs. At the time, while they fielded their own versions of the Machian battle axe, they were too massive, slow, and lacked maneuverability. When the Terran hegemony debuted their Shadowhawk and Griffin, the Davians suddenly had their answer, in which they could model a design that fit their requirements for an ideal cavalry mech. Fierce competition followed suit by companies with Richard Varney's Capellan March, with Norse Battlemech Works ultimately winning a contract with the Federated Peacekeeping Forces. The designers, led by supervising engineer Russell Bell, while using the aforementioned inspirations, opted for maneuverability, followed by a balanced weapon loadout with both offensive reach and close-in firepower, without taxing heat exchange systems. Initially, this was accomplished with the inclusion of a prototype autocannon and medium-class laser, but Norse Battlemech Works felt that made the design too lightly armed compared to competitors it was influenced by. The design team then made arrangements to allow the initial prototype to mount a PPC, and additional heat sinks in place of the autocannon. But the first PPC they were able to secure was completely unsuitable for the test frame, due to significant overheating and EM interference, making for a wholly inaccurate weapon. This initial failure did not go unnoticed by the FPF High Command, and they urged the company to stick with the initial proposed design. Instead of rushing to create and test alternative weapon loadouts, the Norse engineers opted instead to stick with the original prototype for the Wolverine, while electing for heavier levels of armor protection. Most of the armor was focused on the legs and arms, while extra plating was specially placed around the main joints to protect from shrapnel and debris. The end result was a mech that was more stable, cooler running, and could endure severe punishment while out-jumping Shadowhawks and Griffins. Prince Varney himself would receive the very first 4 production-grade WVR-6R Wolverines in 2471. It would go on to become the standard AFFS battlemech for centuries, ironically, serving as a template for the hegemony's upgrades to the mechs it was based on, to, in turn, match the Wolverine. To counter this, Norse Battlemechs introduced yet another more influential variant in 2490, known as the WVR-3R, and would not be fully upgraded to modern standards for another 85 years. Purchasing the primary production rights to the design from Norse, Callan Industries introduced the definitive WVR-6R Wolverine in 2575, for the newly formed Star League Defense Force in the lead-up to the Reunification War, where it served with distinction. Afterwards, it was approved for use by the Great Houses and became quite common on the battlefields of the Succession Wars after the fall of the Star League. Besides being produced by Callan's factories on Nanking and Thermopolis, Freeworld's Defense Industries and Victory Industries later acquired the right to build Wolverines from their plants on Gibson and Marduk respectively. The Free Worlds League was thus the largest user of Wolverines, followed thereafter by the Federated Suns turned Federated Commonwealth. The Fourth Succession War brought about minor changes when House Davian captured Nanking from the Capellan Confederation, but lost Marduk to the Draconis Combine. In the end, the exchange was a net gain for Federated Sons, thanks to the larger Nanking factory with the Confederation the clear loser. Houses Davian, Merrick, and Kurita all introduced new variants of the Wolverine which exploited the recent discovery of lost tech just prior to the clan invasion. During the Combine Ghost Bear War, House Kurita found itself running short of equipment when they lost Marduk and Al-Nair to Duke James Sandoval's surprise attack, although DCMS forces managed to recapture Marduk in mid-3064. Inspired by V-Core Industries' Project Phoenix initiative, Victory Industries went about scouring the entire Combine for any old Wolverine chassis in order to perform a complete strip, disassembling those in the worst shape for their parts, and apply a modernizing factory refit to the rest. By 3067, this effort had virtually picked the Draconis Combine clean of older Wolverine machines, but the new WVR-8K was so well received, it inspired the production of brand new models. The Federated Sons was similarly inspired by the success of the WVR-8K to perform their own updates on the aging design, although the League themselves, still prolific Wolverine users, had yet to institute what turned out, in the end, to be a long and costly program. The fortunes of the Wolverine would wax and wane during the Jihad and Dark Age era, with Callan's Talon plant disappearing in nuclear fire, but numerous retro-tech manufacturers helping to feed the appetite for the mech. After the Jihad's conclusion, the Republic of the Sphere and the Federated Sons both placed a premium on rebuilding Wolverine production, while Nimakachi chose to upgrade its Les Novo-based retro-tech line to modern standards. The biggest impact would occur during the Dark Age, when Callan's Thermopolis lines fell to Clan Wolf in 3142. With the mech's very name considered taboo and tainted, though the Wolf Empire swiftly reconfigured it for production of Conjurer to mitigate this. Not even the clans can argue that the Wolverine will retain its prominence in the militaries of the Inner Sphere. Weapons and equipment. The standard WVR-6R Wolverine carries a weapons payload that is both versatile and, at the same time, limited by its ammunition dependencies. The primary weapon is a GM Whirlwind Autocannon 5. This weapon, mounted in the right arm along with 1 ton of ammunition, allows the Wolverine to cause damage to the enemy at respectable ranges. This is backed up for short-range work by a Harpoon 6 SRM-6 launcher with 1 ton of reloads in the left torso and a single Magna Mark II medium laser mounted in the head. The laser is the most unique aspect of the Wolverine, as it's mounted in a ball turret, originally providing a 360-degree field of fire on early models of the Wolverine. Following the addition of the Harpoon launcher and Tech Battlecom electronics blister, a fire interrupt circuit had to be added to prevent pilots from shooting their own mech. 5 Northrop 12,000 jump jets, with 2 in either leg and the 5th in the rear torso, improves upon the Wolverine's relatively fast cruising speed of 54 kilometers per hour by allowing it to jump up to 150 meters at a time. Unfortunately, the jets are slightly underpowered for this role and must be operated near maximum thrust to achieve their potential, resulting in increased wear and tear on the components. For this reason, a number of variants were introduced which simply removed the jump jets. 9.5 tons of armor make the Wolverine well protected and emphasize its survivability when undertaking dangerous reconnaissance missions. 12 heatsinks also provide adequate heat dissipation, even in the event of damage to the fusion engine, further emphasizing the durability of the machine. In its role as a command mech, the Wolverine is well equipped with the same Tech Battlecom system with multi-channel transceiver receiver as found on the Phoenix Hawk. Well shielded in the head blister, this setup allows the Wolverine to provide superior electronic support when leading other mechs or conducting reconnaissance on its own. Variants. The WVR-1R. Infamously nicknamed the Varney 1R, the original primitive Wolverine was introduced in 2471. It mounted an autocannon 5 with 2 tons of ammunition in the right arm and a medium laser in the head to provide coverage in the weak zone, 60 meters inside the main gun's reach. A 265 primitive engine gave the mech a top speed of 64 kilometers per hour, with 4 prototype jump jets providing enhanced mobility for a total jumping distance of 120 meters. The design was also heavily protected by 14.5 tons of armor, although I assume that's primitive armor. The WVR-3R. Entering production in 2490, the primitive 3R was built in response to the Terran hegemony creating new versions of the mechs the Wolverine was originally based on. It traded 3 tons of armor and a ton of autocannon ammunition for a shoulder-mounted 6-pack SRM launcher with 1 ton of reloads, a loadout that would remain essentially unchanged for the later modernized 6R. The WVR-6D. Introduced in 2612, the 6D drops the SRM and 1 heatsink of the 6R to upgrade the AC-5 to an autocannon 10. 2 tons of ammunition in the right side supply it, spread through the arm and torso. The WVR-6K Wolverine was introduced by the Draconis Combine in 2598, when they decided to produce a variant which removed the troublesome jump jets. Retaining the head laser and SRM launcher, it also replaces the autocannon for a large laser, medium laser, and small laser in the right arm. Additionally, this variant adds 2 more heatsinks, an additional ton of SRM ammo, and 2 more tons of armor. The WVR-6M. Eventually becoming the sole variant manufactured by Callan's Thermopolis plant, the 6M was introduced in 2816, after Lyran raiders destroyed the plant's stockpiles of GM Whirlwind autocannons in the later years of the First Succession War. Boasting increased firepower and endurance as a strike raider, Callan fitted a Magna Mark III large laser into the GM semi-detachable mount. The weight saved also allowed the Merrick designers to add a second medium laser to the right arm, as well as 2 additional heatsinks to help with the extra heat load, and 1 more ton of armor for added protection. Unlike the similar 6K, the 6M still retains the 5 jump jets of the 6R, though this causes it to run hot in heavy combat. The WVR-6KH, a Draconis Combine variant deployed in the late Succession Wars by Rosselhaig regulars and later Kung's Army Berserker lances. By removing 1 ton of SRM ammo, a heatsink, and both medium lasers, a hatchet can be wielded in the left arm. The WVR-7D. The 7D variant of the Wolverine is a major upgrade to the design, introduced in 3050 by the Federated Sun's new Nanking factory. The standard engine on the mech was replaced with a Nissan 275XL engine, and the armor has been upgraded to Callan Unity Weave ferrofibrous material with an extra half-ton added. To increase the Wolverine's speed, mask has been added, allowing it to move up to 108 kilometers per hour in bursts. Finally, the weapons payload has been upgraded as well. The autocannon has been upgraded to a General Motors Nova 5 Ultra Autocannon 5, and the medium laser is now a Sutel Precision Line Medium Pulse Laser. The design retains its jumping capability, as well as the SRM-6, although Case now protects the SRM reloads. The WVR-7H. Similar in many ways to the 7D, the 7H, referred to as the Wolverine II, was used by the Royal Brigades of the SLDF starting in 2770, and was also an upgrade of the 6R. It utilizes an endosteel structure, ferrofibrous armor, and double heat sinks to increase combat capabilities. Extra armor protects the legs, while Case protects all the ammo bins. Like the 7D, the autocannon is upgraded to an Ultra class model, and the medium laser is upgraded to a pulse version. In addition, the SRM-6 is slaved to an Artemis IV fire control system to improve the accuracy of the individual missiles. The WVR-7K. Another major upgrade of the Wolverine, this one for the Combine, and first rolling off of Marduk's production lines in 3050. The 7K model is also built with an XL engine for power, with the weight saved used to increase and upgrade its arsenal. The primary weapon is a Victory Drumbeat large pulse laser and a Victory Throb small pulse laser in the right arm, which is backed up by a medium pulse laser in the head and 2 Telos 6 SRM launchers in the left and right torsos with 1 ton of reloads each. The mech uses 13 double heatsinks to dissipate the added heat from the laser arsenal. Additionally, the 7K does have jump jets and can jump up to 150 meters, and while still carrying standard armor, it increases the amount by 1.5 tons for added protection. The WVR-7K-H, a version of the Clan Invasion era WVR-7K developed for the DCMS and Kung's Army Berserker Lances, the left torso SRM 6 rack and a ton of SRM reloads is dropped to mount a hatchet in the left arm. The WVR-7M. The 7M variant of the Wolverine has aspects of both the 7D and 7K versions, but is much closer to the original model. Produced by the FWD-I in 3050, the mech uses an XL engine, which is augmented by mask, so as to push the machine up to 108 km per hour in bursts. The 7M has 12 double heatsinks, and for weapons package, it carries 2 Diverse Optics Sunbeam ER large lasers in the right arm and 2 Magna 400p medium pulse lasers, one in the head mount, the other in the right torso, while retaining the SRM-6 for close-range work. The WVR-7M2. This Jihad-era refit of the WVR-7M drops the ER large lasers in the right arm and replaces them with a single heavy PPC. All other aspects of this mech are identical to the WVR-7M. The WVR-8C. The new build 8C Wolverine was introduced by Victory Industries in 3067 after the success of the 8K refits. This variant is built on an endosteel chassis and uses an XL engine for power. It carries a large pulse laser as its primary weapon, as well as a medium pulse laser and a small pulse laser. For additional close combat capability, this version carries 2 Streak SRM-6 launchers, while a C3 Slave unit allows it to share targeting telemetry with friendly units. It carries only 13 double heatsinks. The WVR-8D. The 8D Wolverine is one of 2 updated versions introduced by Callan in 3066 that incorporates some of the newest equipment to the AFFS. The mech is built with an endosteel chassis and uses an XL engine augmented with mask, enabling speeds of up to 108 km per hour. Its main gun is a rotary autocannon 2, backed up by an ER medium laser and a Streak SRM-6 launcher. Both the rotary autocannon and the ER medium laser are linked to an advanced targeting computer, making the Wolverine extremely accurate. However, the design carries only 10 double heatsinks. The WVR-8K. The 8K Wolverine was first introduced for the Combine in 3064, when Victory Industries answered Theodore Kurita's call for increased production with the 8K factory refit for existing Wolverines. Switching to an XL engine for power, it uses 15 double heatsinks for its high heat load. A Lord's Light ER-PPC in the right arm is its main weapon, backed up by a Diverse Optics ER medium laser, also in the right arm, and a Victory Heartbeat medium pulse laser in the head. Finally, to exploit any weak points in the enemy's armor, the mech carries a Guided Technologies 2nd Gen Streak SRM-6 launcher in the left torso, along with 1 ton of ammo. 12 tons of Star Shield A armor with case provides additional protection, with the plating designed specifically to make repairs quicker to accomplish. Although certain prestigious Combine units turned their noses up at using a refurbished mech to replenish their ranks, many others were less picky, and the design proliferated after its success on Al-Nair. The WVR-9D. The 9D Wolverine is the companion of the 8D and shares some similarities, such as the endosteel chassis and the XL engine. Fielded at the same time as the 8D, the mech carries, as its main weapon, a rotary autocannon 2, backed up by 2 medium pulse lasers and a Streak SRM-6 launcher. It also carries a TAG laser designator to designate targets for Arrow 4 artillery strikes. Unlike the 8D, this variant does not jump, though it does retain the mask and has 12 double heatsinks. The WVR-9K Wolverine, introduced in 3074, uses a light engine for power. The resulting decrease in tonnage necessitated a complete revision of the weapon systems. Its main gun is the snub-nose PPC mounted in the right arm. An SRM-4 is the only other heat-building weapon mounted on the mech. A trio of light machine guns are also in the arm, linked to a machine gun array to deter infantry. To counteract battle armor, the 9K carries a pair of B-pods. The Wolverine variant carries a sword in its left hand and a C3 slave in the head to feed targeting telemetry back to lancemates. Triple-strength Myamer makes the sword more powerful and the design faster when they heat up, but a Mechwarrior must disengage some of the 10 double heatsinks in order to build the necessary heat. In light of the heavier engine, the inclusion of a compact gyro seems unhelpful at best. The WVR-9M Wolverine, introduced in 3073, is powered by a Nissan XL engine that allows the mech to move at speeds of up to 86.4 km per hour, while sacrificing durability. The 9M can also jump up to 150 meters, as with most other variants. The 9M is armed with a Fusagon Strongtooth Heavy PPC as its primary weapon, which has a similar damage profile to a Clan ER PPC, but at reduced ranges. This is backed up by a Diverse Optics ER medium laser and a Guided Technologies 2nd generation Streak SRM-6 launcher for close combat. The WVR-9R variant has a Diverse Optics ER medium laser in the head, a Holly Streak SRM-6 in the left torso, and an Imperator Ultra AC-10 is carried in the right arm. The 2 tons of autocannon ammo and single ton of missile ammo are carried in a case-protected bay in the left torso. 11 tons of armor protect the Wolverine. It can reach speeds of 86 km per hour and jump 150 meters at a time. The WVR-9W. This 3077 variant carries a pair of light PPCs, an MML-5 with Artemis 4, and a single ER medium laser. To coordinate fire with friendly units, it's equipped with an improved C3 computer. 7 improved jump jets provide a 210-meter jump range, and the mech is protected by an experimental Case 2 system and light ferrofibrous armor. The WVR-9W2, introduced in 3084, has an ER medium laser and ER small laser to provide close-range firepower. An Artemis 4 system attached to an MML-5 and a pair of light PPCs provide long-range firepower. A C3 slave shares targeting data, while a Guardian ECM suite disrupts enemy electronics. Light ferrofibrous armor and case protect the Wolverine. 7 improved jump jets improve mobility. The WVR-10D. Similar to the 8D and the 9D, this Wolverine can jump 150 meters at a time, except that the 9D doesn't have jump jets. I think Comstar might be slipping a little bit. The 10D also has an engine supercharger, which allows it to sprint at speeds of 108 km per hour. The right arm carries a rotary AC-5, and the left torso carries a Streak SRM-6. The head-mounted laser is a medium X-pulse laser. Every side torso has Case 2 to protect the ammunition. The left torso carries a single ton of missile ammo, while the right torso carries 3 tons of rotary autocannon ammunition. Endo steel and an XL engine provide the weight savings needed to carry all the equipment. The WVR-10R. Developed by the Republic of the Sphere, this Wolverine uses a 330 rated XL engine to reach a running speed of 96 km per hour. A mask system mounted in the right torso allows it to sprint at 120 km per hour. 6 jump jets are mounted in the legs and center torso. The right arm carries a Fusagon Smart-Tooth Snub-Nose PPC, and the head has a Magnum Mark 6 ER medium laser. Both of these are tied to an advanced targeting computer. A Holly Streak SRM-6 with a ton of ammunition is carried in the left torso. Case 2 protects the mech from ammunition explosions. An endo steel chassis is used to save weight, while light ferrofibrous armor protects the mech. the WVR-10V2, in absence of a 10V1. This variant has a top speed of 96 km per hour thanks to an XL engine, and can jump 180 meters at a time. The weapons are restricted to a Gauss rifle in the right arm and a head-mounted ER medium laser. 3 tons of Gauss rifle ammo are carried in the right torso, an endosteel skeleton is used, and protection is provided by a light ferrofibrous armor coating. And finally, the WVR-11M. This Wolverine's ground speed, jump radius, and heat dissipation capability are identical to the WVR-7M2, and most of the weaponry is as well. The SRM-6 and heavy PPC are present in the same location as the other version. The 2 medium pulse lasers are replaced by a single head-mounted medium X-pulse laser and Case 2 for the SRM-6 ammo. Mask is still fitted. The largest difference is that this Wolverine carries an extra ton of armor, mostly on the legs. And finally, there are quite a few design quirks across the Wolverine line. The ones that are on pretty much everything from the WVR-3R onward are that it can be a command battle mech, it has an extended torso twist, improved communications from that communications package, jettison-capable weapon, the AC-5, so it can be jettisoned off, protected actuators, thanks to those armor plates. It's ubiquitous, after all, just about everybody made these things, and it has a cramped cockpit, because of that laser. Now, the WVR-7H Wolverine only has the command battle mech, improved communications, and protected actuators of its siblings. Finally, the WVR-1R Wolverine, the original prototype and production model, is subject to the jettison-capable weapon for the AC-5. It's obsolete as of 2500. It still had its protected actuators, but unlike the rest, it has the stable quirk. And now, personal notes. If I were to sum up the Wolverine in one word, I'd probably call it balanced. Balanced is a pretty good term for this thing. After all, it kind of does a little bit of everything. It is the quintessential jack-of-all-trades mech. There's a couple others that definitely fit that bill, but in terms of what a mech can do, this can do a little of all of it. It has a ballistic weapon, a missile weapon, and a laser weapon. One of the 3 major groups, each. It has jump jets, and 5 of them, so it's definitely not the fastest jumper, like something like a spider, but it's also not the slowest jumper, something that might only have 3. It's fast for a medium mech, something in the 50-ton range, with a 5.85 movement profile on the table, and again, 86 kilometers per hour running speed in the, universe and video games. And then on top of all of that, it's pretty well armored. Not as well armored as something like a Centurion, which is one of its stablemates, but to the same degree, it's 5 tons heavier and can hit just about as hard. It can deal more melee damage than a lot of contemporary mechs in the medium and light bracket, but it's not going to be outpunching an Atlas or anything like that anytime soon. So ultimately, it can do a little bit of everything decently. It's got a whole lot of quirks to reflect this thing's lore, and I love that, I really do. It's got all kinds of ability. The fact that it's ubiquitous makes it easy to find. The fact that it has armored joints gives it, a little more survivability. The jettison-capable weapon is kind of unique. I mean, I really like the flavor of that. You won't have that come up a lot in tabletop games, and the video games, quirks like that usually don't show up at all, but it is pretty cool. Extended torso twist means it can move around behind it, so if you try and get around behind this thing, even though it has no rear-facing weapons, it itself could face behind it. Command battle mech means that this thing could be a great hero or leader mech, and yet to the same degree, it's certainly not going to win very many one-on-ones with specialized mechs. I wouldn't take this thing against most heavies 1v1. It can 1v1 a couple of heavies, but not the majority of them, and it certainly couldn't 1v1 an assault mech. But it can outrun pretty much every assault mech, and almost every heavy mech before the clans show up. And even then, by the time the clans do show up, most of these things are rocking masts or superchargers, so that becomes less of a problem. To the same degree, the variants have decent variety, but shockingly still keep it in the middle. Swapping that large laser or autocannon with a PPC, for instance, is a great choice. This thing goes great with a PPC. But ultimately, it is balanced. It's in the middle. And in my personal experience driving this thing, at least in Mechwarrior, it's, I have to admit, not my favorite design. Don't get me wrong, it is a good machine, a very good machine, and in capable hands, especially to you mech warriors out there who like your mobility but want some survivability to come with it, it's a great machine. Good for raids, if you know what you're doing, and very good at quick in and out missions like Assassination, where you still need the toughness and firepower to take something down, but need the mobility to quickly get out of there when things get rough. It's a good machine, it has plenty of purposes, and you can use it for almost anything. Heck, a lance of Wolverines is terrifying, and when I see one show up, and I'm driving something like a medium, or a light especially, I cannot ignore it. I wouldn't even risk ignoring this thing in a heavy mech. Sure, I wouldn't expect this thing to 1v1 me, but you cannot ignore its weapons payload for long before it becomes a problem. Not to mention, it has decent range thanks to that AC5, or in the case of the 6M, the large laser, or especially in the later cases, that PPC. And, well, sure, there's one thing I can think of that other mechs can do that it cannot, and that's indirect fire. I was surprised there wasn't a version with LRMs, but to the same degree, it doesn't need it. It can do just about everything, and it can jump up to a high vantage point if it really needs to hit something that it can't immediately see in the next turn. Full disclosure, I prefer the 6M over the standard 6R. It might have to do with the fact that on the tabletop, you probably will not run out of AC5 ammo before the encounter is done, but in the video games, you run out of that AC5 ammo fast, even if you double up on it. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I absolutely just bear down on the enemy when I have ammunition, and it's rough. I run out of that ammo fast, especially when two of my weapons are ammo-based. I like the 6M because not only does it give me that second medium laser for up close to pair with my SRMs, but also the large laser allows me to hit things at a distance without having to expend much in the way of, well, any sort of resources. I just gotta watch my heat. Ultimately, it is a fun machine to drive, but while not my favorite, it can be used by just about anyone. In fact, I would go so far as to say that this makes a great first mech, and makes a pretty decent hero mech. What do I mean by hero mech? I mean the types of mechs that a protagonist who's doing a series of different types of missions, or a first-time mercenary, is going to be driving a lot, because it can do just about any mission type proficiently. Now, you have to be smart while driving it, but that just makes it better for storytelling, because then you have to have a smart pilot or a character who's clever or very good at piloting in order to make this thing really excel. Again, it's not a Centurion where you are going to hit hard and take a lot of hard hits, but you're not terribly fast or maneuverable. To the same degree, it's not a Phoenix Hawk, where you are going to be fast and flitting around other people in your weight class while at the same time putting down that punch with the large laser and getting in and out. But it is right in between those two. It can definitely outshoot a Phoenix Hawk, and it can run circles around a Centurion. And given that those are its stablemates, in that medium bracket, that makes it a very useful machine. So definitely give this thing a spin if you've never tried it. And while it's certainly not my favorite design, it has become something that I highly respect, that I definitely give attention to on the battlefield when I see it show up, and would absolutely say not to ignore when you're exploring the universe of Battletech. The Wolverine is a very balanced machine, and while a lot of people use the term mid, as in middle of the road, to be a disservice to the thing they're talking about, in this case, a balanced, middle of the road mech that can do a little bit of everything is something that you cannot afford to ignore, and can be very dangerous in the right hands. Anyway, that concludes today's Reading and Rant, and thank you for listening to my voice.